Kristen here from Scooterbug Corner, and I'm hopping on here to share another spring, little bit Easterish themed journal. It's not super Easter, so they could definitely last you through the whole spring, but let's just dive right into it. So the base of the cover is a faux leather stitched. There's a dyed seamed crinkle binding, and then this is a vintage hanky that I have backed with some felt to give it some sturdiness, and so that, you know, actually you don't see directly through, just to, you know, let the blue and the white speak for itself. And then it's just trimmed with this rosette trim at the bottom. So I apologize for shaking, poor lighting. This is just what we're working with. It's a cloudy, yucky day outside. Let's just dive right into it. So this journal has quite a bit going on in terms of decoration. It is lined with a vintage like feed sack style fabric. So right off the top, we have vintage wallpaper. This is a bag, so there's multiple places that you can tuck. This has glitter in the pocket down here, but they're butterfly shapes, vintage chenille. And to get you started, here are some tags that I've made with some vintage ribbon trim down here. And this is a napkin that's been Mod Podge on another tag. And just this journal is going to be full of lots of stitching elements, trims. Again, apologize for the shaking. Kind of on like a little bit of a rickety setup here. Vintage lace. So here is a pocket that's embossed paper. There's been some painting, a little side belly band, little tiny glassine bag with a teeny tiny tag, some vintage ephemera. This is a printable from KB and Friends. Fold out, places to journal or document however you use this journal. This is a dyed doily. This is a vintage game sheet. So while there is decoration, you can see that there's still plenty of room to do your own thing. This is a little vintage note card and a KB and Friends printable. Vintage book pages. So have sewn on this trim onto scrapbook paper to make this pocket. Here's a cute little vintage card backed on vintage map paper, or vintage map. This folds out, giving you a little more space to do whatever you wish. Lined paper with, pretty sure this was vintage fabric. So this comes from a vintage book page. Love the colors in this. But tucked into here is a big giant glittery tag. That's a faux leather bow that I've made, and I've stitched on some various coffee dyed paper, some lined paper there for a little place to document or write. Over here is just a glassine bag tag. Here's index cards for journaling. Here's a mixed media tag that I have made. So these are all vintage doilies. So you can see there's just been a lot of different mixed media. It's plain on the back if you want to document stitching. Here's some shabby flower trim. This is a doily that I dyed that's been sewn onto a dyed piece of paper. There's just various printables and ephemera in here. Most of these are from KB and Friends. Some of them, maybe one of them may be from elsewhere and I can't remember, but so anyway, that's just in there for you to do what you want. Here I've just made this cute little It's not really a tag, I guess maybe like a little booklet that just kind of hangs over this page here for you to journal. Here I've added a tool to create this pocket, vintage Chanel trim. This is from a vintage book, but you know, the tulips are very springy to me. So here is the center of the signature. This is also from a vintage book, and someone has already done some coloring for you. It's just a feather, embossed paper, some stamping, but there is a pocket. Both of these are pockets. This little card here fits in that little pocket, but then this is also a tuck spot. Right here is a vintage recipe card and a vintage playing card. Over here are some printables that have just been added. This flaps open. Looks like it's just a little list spot that tucks in. Vintage button. Some more vintage papers. These are vintage Chanel, vintage fabric, and just some little printables to make this cute little cluster. Right here, this is actually a tuck spot here. And then this index card just uses some like minky fabric and is holding some little printables. Right here is a tuck spot cluster that's been sewn and has all kinds of texture and a wax seal. And here's just a double-sided, to make that a journaling card, place to put pictures. Here's another cluster and some more printables. Tuck that right in there. So this page kind of has a lot going on, but it's just some decorative elements. This is a vintage book page that has been turned into a pocket, but it's a fun scene of people out boating. Some more papers. So you can see there's still plenty of spaces to journal. There's just been some paint added to it just to kind of give you points of inspiration for either places to write or do whatever. And that is the end of this journal. So I hope you enjoyed this flip through. And if you really like this journal, look for my information for when this is listed. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful day.